Let's take a look at factors that affect the enzymatic reaction. Factors that affect the enzymatic reaction. The rate of an enzyme catalyzed reaction is affected by chemical and physical factors. pH, temperature, concentrations of substrate, and concentrations of enzyme are factors that affect the enzymatic reaction. The rate of an enzyme catalyzed reaction is also affected by cofactor, chemical that specifically influence the enzyme. At 0 degrees Celsius, enzymes are inactivated. When temperature rises, catalytic activity is regained. For every increase of 10 degrees Celsius, the reaction rate doubles. The rate of an enzyme catalyzed reaction increases with temperature up to a point called the optimum temperature. Most of the enzymes found in humans have optimal temperatures between 35 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. Prokaryotes living in hot spring have enzymes with optimal temperature of 70 degrees Celsius or higher. Heating increases the kinetic energy of an enzyme and substrate molecules, and therefore they move more quickly. The chances of them colliding with each other is increased, and there is a greater probability for a reaction to happen. This graph shows rate of reactions of an enzyme change at different temperature. Optimum temperature is the temperature that promotes the maximum rate of reaction. Enzyme function efficiently over a particular pH range. The optimum pH for an enzyme is the pH at which the maximum rate of reaction occurs. Most enzymes work best when the pH value is between 6 and 8, close to the pH of most body fluids and cellular matrix. The optimum pH is the most favorable pH value where the enzyme is most active. When the pH is above or below this range, the enzyme activity decreases. As the pH is lowered, acidity increases. This will disrupt the ionic bond which helps to maintain the shape of the enzyme. Change in pH also causes change to the charge found at the active site and on the substrates. This will affect the ability of the substrate to fit into the active site. As the substrate concentration increases, the number of enzyme active sites which are bound to the substrate would increase until there are no more free active sites. Any further increase in the substrate concentration will not increase the initial rate of reaction because all the active sites are already occupied by substrates. At lower substrate concentrations, the rate of reaction is directly proportional to the substrate concentration. At higher substrate concentration, the rate of reaction becomes constant. At lower enzyme concentration, the rate of reaction is directly proportional to the enzyme concentration. At higher enzyme concentration, the rate of reaction becomes constant. There is no increase at the rate of reaction because at this stage, the substrate concentration is the limiting factor.
Three important factors which impact the rate at which enzymes catalyze reactions are substrate concentration, temperature, and pH. Substrate concentration is important because at very low concentrations, many enzymes are just waiting around for a substrate. At high concentrations, all the enzymes are hard at work, and the extra substrates are waiting around for a free enzyme. So as substrate concentration increases, the amount of enzyme activity saturates, as shown in this graph. In addition, the rate of activity of an enzyme is highest within its optimal temperature range. Enzyme activity occurs randomly when substrate and enzyme bump together and bind. At low temperatures, molecules have low kinetic energy and are unlikely to randomly bump into each other. As temperature increases, the random interactions happen more frequently. As the temperature increases past a certain point, however, the enzymes start to denature or fall apart, resulting in a decrease in enzyme activity. Enzymes also typically work best in a narrow pH range. pH affects enzyme activity by affecting the structure of the enzymes themselves. Enzymes have many ionizable side chains and prosthetic groups, which affect the intermolecular bonds which hold together their secondary and tertiary structure. Maintaining the correct secondary and tertiary structure is critical for the proper alignment and functioning of the active site. Outside of an optimal pH range, changes to ionizable side chains can break bonds holding together secondary and tertiary structures, causing the active site to fall apart, and decreasing enzymatic activity. In addition, the substrate binding to the enzyme might have its own ionizable side chains, which can also be affected by pH.